You're wearing the new watch.
Yep.
We've got Mallory, our floor director, demoing another watch, the rose gold color, which I love. But first of all, give me the specs.
It's the thinnest and lightest smartwatch in the world. It's 7.5 millimeters thin and just 38 millimeters in diameter, so it feels like an actual, real classic watch. And that's something our designers and engineers worked extremely hard to make sure it had that feel, that on-wrist feel.
Can you explain the rose gold here? Because Apple's obviously coming out with rose gold iPhones. What is it about rose gold?
We were looking at the trends, and as we started designing this watch, we thought about what would make a smartwatch look like a classic watch on your wrist. We know that we ourselves make rectangular watches. That's been our kind of go-to for the last 3 years, and we've seen a lot of other people make rectangular watches like Apple. But in our minds, one of the best ways to kind of camouflage the tech and get it onto your wrist is to make it look like a classic watch.
So who are you targeting?
For this product, we're targeting people who weren't interested in Pebble before because they just couldn't fathom the idea of putting this techie product onto their wrist. There's a ton of people in the world who have put Pebble on their wrist. There's over 1 million Pebble users around. But for this, we were pretty explicitly saying, who else could be interested in Pebble? As
I understood it, you were targeting trying to get more women to buy
Yeah, for
Pebble.
sure. So this is, as we said, the smallest and lightest smartwatch on the market, and it just so happens that some women have smaller wrists than men.
Okay.
And this was really important for us because it's the design, it's the look, but it's also the feel.
So you guys were first to market with the smartwatch. I came down to Pebble and I saw you guys in basically a garage when you were making these things. Apple Watch didn't even exist. Now you're in third place and you got to catch up. How do you see yourselves reclaiming market share?
I think for
when it
us,
comes to Apple and Google.
When it comes to Apple, I think that's one story all by itself. Apple, when they move into a market, no one was doubting them. I don't think anyone could have sat here in this chair and said that Apple wouldn't have been able to sell millions of watches. But I think that's not really the point. I think what we're looking at right now is the next. We've been working on this for 7 years. We're looking at the next 7 years of smartwatches, and it's clear. Apple has made it extremely clear what they're building. They're building a watch that looks a little bit more like the Rolex or the Tag of smartwatches. The prices start over $400 or $350. And I think that's not exactly what we've been building. Like right from the get-go, we were building products that are fun, colorful, affordable, entry-level, cross-platform products. And I think we're positioned a little bit more to be like the Swatch of smartwatches right now.
The Swatch of smartwatches, okay. Now let's talk about battery life, because 2-day battery life, which is still the big question around these smartwatches is how often am I going to have to charge them? I'm not wearing my Apple Watch because I forgot to charge it, and oftentimes I go for it and I just can't wear it that day. So how do you improve on that battery life?
So Pebble offers a range of products. We have Pebble Time Round, the one that we just announced, that has an up to 2-day long battery life. But we also have products that go up to 10 days, and I think that's the big message with this watch. We've been working on smartwatches. We know that millions of people are using Pebble. What we really wanted to build are options. And for us, getting Pebble onto more and more wrists meant looking at how the size and how the shape and really the look fits on other people's wrists. So if you look at what we have now, we have products that start at $99. They do step tracking, sleep tracking, activity tracking, all the smartwatch stuff as well. And that ranges up to $250 for Pebble Time Steel and Pebble Time Round, which are a little bit more of the classy, stylish options.
And then quickly, in the beginning, you guys couldn't even keep up with demand. There was so much of it. How are you doing now on supply versus demand?
So as you mentioned earlier, we sold almost 100,000 watches in the span of 30 days earlier this year. That took a little while to catch up. Obviously, it was a fair amount of demand.
Those are the nights you stayed up awake having nightmares.
Well, I'm not personally manufacturing the watches anymore, but I think we've got a talented team. We're now in Best Buy, Target, all the carrier stores. It's spreading.